Hundreds of thousands faced an unexpected and horrifying dawn. The Tet Offensive, launched on January 31, 1968, marked a pivotal and brutal turning point in the Vietnam War, an event that defied all previous military intelligence and expectations of a holiday truce. For weeks leading up to this massive assault, an unprecedented radio silence blanketed enemy communications, a strategic deception aimed at lulling Allied forces into a false sense of security during the traditional Tet holiday ceasefire period. This quiet deception proved chillingly effective, allowing 80,000 Viet Cong and North Vietnamese army forces to position themselves for a coordinated fury across South Vietnam. The scale of the synchronized attacks was staggering, impacting over 100 cities, towns, and military installations simultaneously, from the northern reaches near the demilitarized zone down to the Mekong Delta. On that single day, the United States Embassy in Saigon, a symbol of American power, was attacked by 19 Viet Cong commandos in a brazen 12-hour siege, a psychological blow that resonated worldwide, despite its eventual containment. Cities like Hue endured 26 days of continuous and savage street-to-street fighting, resulting in the deaths of thousands of civilians and countless soldiers from both sides. This offensive was not a singular event, but a complex series of 3 distinct phases stretching for months, with initial attacks followed by 2 subsequent waves in May and August of that same year, 1968. The sheer audacity and widespread nature of the offensive completely shattered the American public's faith in optimistic reports from military and political leaders back home who had consistently promised victory was imminent. Militarily, the Tet Offensive was a devastating defeat for North Vietnam and the Viet Cong, who suffered immense casualties estimated at over 58,000 dead in the first phase alone, against approximately 4,000 American and 9,000 South Vietnamese fatalities during the same period. Despite these disproportionate losses, the political and psychological impact on the American home front was immense, fueling the anti-war movement and creating an undeniable shift in public perception. Before Tet, many believed the United States was winning the conflict. But after seeing images of fighting inside the U.S. Embassy and the relentless battles across urban centers, the narrative fundamentally changed. The Viet Cong infrastructure was severely damaged, needing several years to recover its combat effectiveness, while the North Vietnamese army continued to escalate its involvement. The overall cost in human lives was astronomical, with tens of thousands of combatants and civilians perishing across several months of intense fighting. The planning for this massive undertaking involved years of preparation and infiltration of hidden supply routes, including the Ho Chi Minh Trail. This unprecedented military gambit aimed to spark a general uprising in South Vietnam, an objective that ultimately failed but forever altered the course of the war. Its reverberations continued to shape American foreign policy and domestic debates for many years, demonstrating the powerful role of media and public opinion in warfare, even in the face of tactical military victories. The sheer number of military units involved, from infantry to sappers, indicated a logistical sophistication previously underestimated by intelligence agencies. Over 58,000 vanished in weeks. The Tet Offensive, a military gamble, fundamentally altered the Vietnam War landscape across 1968 with its initial surprise attacks, giving way to prolonged and equally brutal engagements. Following the first wave in late January, a period of intense regrouping and further strategic planning unfolded, leading to a second major push in May, involving another sustained period of widespread fighting. This renewed assault highlighted the enduring resolve of North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces, despite their heavy losses during the initial January phase, estimated at well over 50,000 combatants. Allied forces, primarily American and South Vietnamese units, faced relentless pressure as the conflict escalated again, demonstrating the enemy's capacity for complex multi-front operations. The second phase saw renewed attacks on over 111 targets across South Vietnam, causing further widespread destruction and deepening the public's disillusionment both domestically and internationally. Then came a third significant wave in August of that same year, 1968. maintaining the relentless pressure on cities and military bases, further showcasing a protracted war with no clear end in sight. These subsequent phases, though less dramatically impactful than the initial Tet surprise, continued to chip away at American morale and reinforce the perception of a stalemate. American casualties, which had been around 4,000 in the first phase, climbed steadily throughout these later periods, adding thousands more to the tragic count. The financial burden on the United States also swelled, reaching billions of dollars each month, fueling intense domestic debate about the war's sustainability and ethical implications. General Westmoreland's request for an additional 200,000 troops following the first Tet wave was a clear indicator of the gravity of the situation, a request that ultimately led to his reassignment, a shift in American military leadership. The anti-war movement gained immense traction, drawing millions to protests across the United States, influencing the presidential election of 1968 and forever changing political discourse. The damage to the Viet Cong's fighting capability was undeniable, with their numbers significantly reduced, forcing the North Vietnamese army to shoulder a greater share of the combat burden in the years that followed. This strategic shift meant a more conventional war was emerging, replacing earlier insurgency efforts in many regions. South Vietnam endured immense civilian suffering, with hundreds of thousands displaced and countless lives lost to the ongoing fighting. The offensive underscored the failure of the American hearts and minds strategy, as the populace continued to suffer under the relentless conflict. The sheer volume of munitions expended during these months reached unprecedented levels, with thousands of tons of bombs and artillery shells falling across the countryside and urban centers. The logistical challenge for both sides was immense, requiring thousands of supply convoys and vast networks of hidden routes to sustain operations. Even though the communist forces did not achieve their objective of a general uprising, their psychological victory was profound, changing the global narrative, pushing the United States closer to a negotiated settlement. This long and bloody chapter in 1968 marked a permanent turning point, affecting millions of lives and shaping global events for decades. 58,000 vanished in mere weeks, a truly terrifying cost of war. The Tet Offensive fundamentally reshaped the Vietnam War landscape throughout 1968. After the initial late January surprise attacks, a focused period of intense regrouping began. This strategy directly led to a second major push in May, bringing another sustained period of widespread fighting. This renewed assault clearly showed the enduring determination of North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces even after their heavy losses during the initial January phase, which was estimated at well over 50,000 combatants. Allied forces, primarily American and South Vietnamese units, faced relentless pressure as the conflict intensified yet again. The second phase involved renewed attacks on over 111 targets across South Vietnam, causing further widespread destruction and deepening public disillusionment, both domestically and internationally. A third significant wave hit in August of that same year, 1968, maintaining relentless pressure on cities and key military bases. This further illustrated a protracted war without a clear end in sight. These subsequent phases, though less dramatically shocking than the initial Tet surprise, continuously eroded American morale and reinforced the bitter perception of a stalemate. American casualties, which began at around 4,000 in the first phase, steadily climbed throughout these later periods, adding many thousands more to the tragic tally. The financial strain on the United States also ballooned, reaching billions of dollars each single month. This situation fueled intense domestic debate regarding the war's sustainability and its ethical implications. General Westmoreland's request for an additional 200,000 troops, right after the first Tet wave, starkly indicated the severe gravity of the unfolding situation. This bold request ultimately contributed to his reassignment, marking a significant shift in American military leadership. The powerful anti-war movement gained immense traction, drawing millions to protests across the United States. This deeply influenced the presidential election of 1968 and forever changed political discourse. The severe damage to the Viet Cong's fighting capability was undeniable, with their numbers significantly reduced. This reality forced the North Vietnamese army to shoulder a much greater share of the intense combat burden in the challenging years that followed. This crucial strategic shift meant a more conventional war was clearly emerging, replacing earlier insurgency efforts across many regions. South Vietnam tragically endured immense civilian suffering, with hundreds of thousands displaced from their homes. Countless lives were tragically lost to the relentless ongoing fighting. The entire offensive underscored the stark failure of the American hearts and minds strategy as the populace continued to suffer under the relentless conflict. The sheer volume of munitions expended during these critical months reached truly unprecedented levels. Many thousands of tons of bombs and artillery shells rained down across the countryside and through urban centers. The immense logistical challenge for both sides proved staggering, requiring thousands of supply convoys and vast hidden networks of routes to sustain all operations. Even though the communist forces did not achieve their primary objective of a general uprising, their psychological victory was truly profound. It dramatically changed the global narrative, pushing the United States closer to a negotiated settlement. This long and bloody chapter in 1968 marked a permanent turning point, affecting millions of lives and truly shaping global events for many decades to come.